Welcome to Summer in October. It's Alex. Today we're talking about Heart Eyes, the 2025 Valentine's Day slasher release. I just saw it in theaters. This is going to be a non-spoiler review. I'm actually going to do this one talking about the good, then talking about the bad. At the end, I'll give you a spoiler warning. I'm going to give a couple of my highlights of the movie, but let's get into it. I want to say first off, it is a fun, goofy is a word I wrote down, a fun, goofy Valentine's Day slasher. If you want a slasher, you want some carnage, you want a rom-com mixed in there, if you like all those things, it's a lot of fun. I don't think it's an exceptional movie, especially even in comparison to some of the releases we've seen so far, or comparing other Valentine's Day slashers. My Bloody Valentine is a personal favorite. It's good, it's fun, and it's goofy, and you have to go in with that energy. I don't think it's a cult classic icon villain, but I do think it's a lot of fun. So, for the good. If you like rom-coms, you will love this. If you don't like rom-coms like me, even though some of the parts are silly, some drag, it all makes sense, it all adds up, and it's a little bit of fun. I did laugh quite a few times. There's one part which I actually think is so funny, which I'll discuss in the spoiler section. But even if you don't like rom-coms, you can find something funny in this. If you do like rom-coms, you're going to love this. So I think that's really going to differ how people like this movie. Because either you really like it because you're into rom-coms, or the rom-com part is kind of like a low for you, but it's still good and you can still chuckle at some parts. I think the casting was great. I think everybody did a really good job. This is not a spoiler, but there's a girl in the middle of a crowd and she just screams really loud. That, how do I get that role? Someone tell me. I want to be like a very background character. Like, I don't want to be anything of focus in a movie, but I would love to be like somewhere in there. Let me know how I do that. Anyway, the cast did great. I didn't find any of the acting overly weird. Some of the dialogue was a little bit but we'll talk about that. When we're talking about the slasher design, you've already seen, if you've seen the trailer, even the poster, if you're even Googling who Heart Eyes is, I'm kind of obsessed with the Heart Eyes mask. I think it's really cool. It just gets really cool in the movie. And I also like that there's so many little details about Valentine's Day and, the heart. I just like that. I like when you stay really true to a character. You've built a character and you really own it. So when we talk about the kills were crazy. Some of them were actually insane. We'll talk about the trailer in the bads because I do think it really gave away too much. But if we take that out for a second, or if you haven't seen the trailer, you're going to have a lot of fun with these. Some of them were so disturbing. I was like, this is not really going to happen, right? They're not going to show this all the way through. They do. So if you're really into the carnage of it all, you're going to get it, okay? What I like a lot about this slasher is it's not confined to a small cast or group of people. It's a very big setting for a slasher, so you'll really enjoy it if you like that. In terms of pacing, they open it up really, really well. They really get into it. We really have a good setup. There is a little bit of a lag because you're building this rom-com, you're building the characters, you're building the story. For me, because I don't love rom-coms, it was kind of like, okay, come on. And then I felt it kind of dragged towards the end. That's just my personal opinion, but the story does make up for it. And when you get those action parts and the way it escalates in some scenes is so great. So they did a really good job of going from 0 to 100, so I appreciate that. Another good for this movie is if you like rom-coms, if you really like Valentine's Day flicks, there's a lot of references, okay? It's cheeky, it's clever, it's funny. So if you can appreciate that or you like that, that'll be in there. Overall, it's a pretty good movie. I have no complaints. I didn't think it was an exceptional movie, but I think it was really good. For Valentine's Day, really goofy. I just don't really think I'm gonna watch it again, and that's where we're gonna get into the bad. So the number one bad for me is rewatchability. I mean, if you really like the rom-com style of it, if you wanna see the kills again, sure, you'll watch it again. Story-wise, the story doesn't make me wanna watch again, and the clues are not a mystery. They're not like hints at something. It's pretty obvious and predictable in parts. So that takes away rewatchability for me, but that's my personal opinion there. In terms of the characters, I like the characters. The dialogue, and I'm noticing this so much with modern movies. And, tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like a lot of modern movies are written the way we would speak online. So the way we would have dialogue, like in comment sections, text, Facebook, whatever, Instagram, I don't know what everybody's using. The way we would talk on those platforms is how they shape dialogue in real life. And listen, I know I talk weird in my WhatsApp groups. I talk weirder in different things. When I converse with people in real life, I don't speak like that. Sure, some of it bleeds in. Sometimes you'll say like a funny reference or maybe like a word catches on, but I don't feel like we speak like we do online. And I find a lot of modern movies really bring that in, and I don't know, I don't love that. And it wasn't too bad in this dialogue because some modern movies for me are just unbearable. It wasn't too bad with it, but there were some parts where I was like, "We wouldn't speak like this in real life, would we?" I wouldn't. Would you? So one of the bads for me, which I said, which I can only talk about briefly because I don't wanna give away anything, I found a lot of the story to be very predictable. You know, there was no hints. It was like, this is going to be relevant, and relevant it was. And there was things that were supposed to be clues, but seemed a little bit too obvious. The reveal was iffy for me. Part of it, the story of it all made sense, and one part of it I liked, but it just didn't hit. I don't know, it seemed again a little bit too predictable, and it wasn't that fun. And there's something I'm gonna talk about in the spoiler section just about the past of the Hard Eyes Killer. I don't know if the reveal makes sense to me. So we'll talk about that. Overall, it's a pretty good movie, okay? It's pretty good. It's fun. If you like this kind of thing, you'll love it. If you don't like this kind of thing, you'll still have fun with it. And you know what? That's all that I love from a movie. I don't have to have every single movie hit me like a ton of bricks and me be addicted to it for the rest of my life. I don't have enough capacity. So it's good to just have a chuckle, a fun slasher. That's it. Okay, getting into the spoilers. Spoilers now. Last spoiler warning. Spoilers, here we go. So let's talk about a couple things in this little spoiler. The scene in her bedroom where we kind of almost have a lag. Like I'm wondering when Heart Eyes is going to show himself. And she's trying to hide her pleasure toy. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. I'm still figuring out what I can and can't say, but the pleasure toy, when she's going to hide that, I found the tension was so in with her getting caught with it. I was not expecting Hard Eyes to be in the closet. I thought that was such a good 0 to 100 perfect spot for tension. I loved it. In terms of the kills, I think I would have enjoyed them a lot more if I hadn't watched the trailer. The trailer takes away the tension for me. There's not enough tension. We actually saw one of the most gnarly kills, which was in that van, and it just takes away from it. I think trailers need to do a better job at hinting at it and building tension with those kills without revealing the kills. You can show something's gonna be gory, you can show something's gonna be crazy, without really pushing that, you know what I mean? I don't think we need to see all of it. I think there's a way that we can have a happy medium. But I do know they need to market it and they need people to want to watch. But I don't see why people wouldn't want to watch. And when people do and they get on YouTube and they say these kills were insane, I feel like you're gonna go see it. I found it with In a Violent Nature. Not a lot of people like that movie. It's a lot of slow pace, but there's a kill in that that you need to see. Watch the movie for it. You literally need to. So that's the kind of energy I want movies to give without giving it away. In terms of predictability, when she met that guy, like the IT guy, it was kind of obvious. Like there hasn't been anybody else introduced and he was acting kind of weird. It just really seemed like that was going to be a part in it. And then the cop, when she came and she just had her arm broken, when has Heart Eyes ever left anybody alive? That was never hinted at in the story. That was never told in the story. So that kind of gave it away from me. I feel like some people might have even picked up on when she was talking about kinks and stuff, but I didn't. It just kind of gave it away. And then when they did the reveal, I like the story of it being a kink and I love the acting of it all, but I just didn't think the reveal was that great. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. It was kind of weak for me, and especially because when they didn't recognize Eli when they pulled off his mask in the car park, I actually kind of liked that they didn't know who the slasher was. And I feel like if you're gonna do a multiple person twist, it has to be a pretty strong one. And it makes me wonder how a cop in a certain city was helping with all these other ones in different places. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe I missed something. It wasn't as strong as I wanted to be. The decapitation at the end though, crazy. Okay, that was crazy. And at the very beginning when she gets crushed, I could not believe they kept showing it and they do flashbacks and they're like, okay, you're gonna watch it again. Crazy. I found the rom-com of it all pretty cheesy. I don't really like rom-coms. I did kind of like their build-up and their story. Her ex really wasn't that significant. I get it was part of the story, but it would have been cooler if he was more in it later, either as a victim or in distress or revealed or ran up on them again. It just kind of felt like a plot point they needed and they just completely dropped it. They definitely ended with the romantic side and not the violent side. And I know that this is a standalone slasher right now. I kind of just wanted more out of who the slasher was and the potential for that to go on, the story to go on. I kind of would have loved for someone to start rampaging in the car park again, but it's a Valentine's Day slasher, so maybe they want to give a happy ending, and I'm just a horror girl who likes endings not to go my way, you know? I think I also did myself a disservice because I watched My Bloody Valentine for the first time the same week, and I loved it, okay? That first watch is coming soon. I loved it, so I do think I kind of betrayed myself there because I really like slashers that have more terror than they do this meta scream fun slasher. I don't know, is there modern slashers that I'm missing that go more into the terror and the stalking and the actual concern? These modern ones are so goofy that I just can't really buy into it. But I know that this movie was overall goofy. So what it is, it's great. I just don't think it stands out or stands up with other slashers I've seen. But I think if you just want a Valentine's Day fun slasher to watch, it's definitely fun. I just want to give my honest opinion how I feel about it because I don't want to just sit here and be so excited over something when I didn't love it as much as like Companion or Wolfman, for example. So let me know what you think. And yeah.